Hey, how's it going, everybody? Scott Spreitzer here. He's Doug Upstone. We're Us Against the Spread, the free version, because every week on Tuesday nights, Wednesdays, we put out our free version of Us Against the Spread. We talk about two Thursday night football games. In this case, we got Broncos at Chiefs. We got West Virginia at Houston. We're going to get to those in just a minute. A nice week for Doug last week at Us Against the Spread. I ended up one game under 500. The good news, 37-20 with a couple of pushes is my record at Us Against the Spread since we started this whole thing. Other good news for those who jumped on board over on my homepage at DocSports.com. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for showing the trust and jumping on board. We had a phenomenal weekend, 8-1 Thursday night prop, Monday night prop, both cashed, and then 6-1 with sides and totals in college and pro football. Hit that 7-star with the Georgia Bulldogs, 5-star with the Steelers was the top play on Sunday. By the way, after cashing a 5-star in baseball on Monday, those top plays now 120 and 70 end up almost $22,000. Got more coming. Watch our daily videos each day of the week because we're going to tell you a little bit more later in the week about what we got going over at Doc Sports for our premium plays this week, both mine and also with Doug's. Doug, I know you hit a couple of money shots on Us Against the Spread. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, I'm glad to be able to do that. Money shots. The Georgia Bulldogs that you mentioned, that was my what play in college, and then had Detroit on the first half line, which was also an easy winner. And overall, winning week in college and pro football on the show, Scott. So happy to everybody that participated. And we had a huge gathering of people that really signed up, and a really nice amount of signups, double what it was the week before. So things are really starting to roll with this show, and people are getting into the action here. So yeah, it's been very good. And then didn't do it as quite as well as I'd hoped in college football, but the NFL had a super day on Sunday, 3-0, highlighted by the Philadelphia Eagles taking care of business against the Los Angeles Rams as a 6-unit best bet.
Nice. I got to ask a quick question. If you had to describe to somebody why they might want to think about getting involved with Us Against the Spread, which is over at usagainstthespread.docsports.com. That's usagainstthespread.docsports.com. And we appreciate those who've jumped on board. Real nice reaction thus far from everybody. But if you had to describe in your words, why you think it would be advantageous to somebody to jump on board, what would that be?
Well, it's real simple, Scott, is that, not a lot of people like to bet, but they don't have, a bigger bankroll. They just, let's call it recreational betting. Mm-hmm. And so from that standpoint, and this was really kind of the genesis for us in part with this idea, is to have something that is extremely affordable for people to do. So for example, we're charging $19.99 for close to 100 games per month in college and pro football. That's $5 a week. I mean, that's about as down and dirty as it gets. And hey, we've been in this business. We've talked about it to our chagrin. Almost 50 years combined in the business, or about 50 years. And so with that, we have a lot of expertise, we have a lot of knowledge. And so that's why, we're in this case, we're not afraid to go deeper into some of these games, like to give, like you said, all the NFL games and stuff like that. So for $5 a week, that keeps more money in your pocket, okay, whether you win or lose. And so that's really the main reason that we've done this. And it's a super value for those that, looking to do something like that.
And well said. And I was going to say, that this is our full-time gig. This is what we do 7 days a week, are diving into these games. So why not share some of the info? And we'll get interactive with it as we move a little bit deeper into the season. But I also wanted to mention, again, I'm going to announce over the next day or so what I'll have going this weekend at my homepage at DocSports.com, as will Doug. And so far, I'm 23-7, 77%. Since I believe it was September 11th in college and pro football. We'll look to keep it going, knock on wood. What do you say? Let's get to the games, Doug. Thursday night NFL, the Broncos at the Chiefs. Somebody was eating crow this past weekend, and I'm talking about, of course, Sean Payton after what he said about Nathaniel Hackett when Payton first arrived in Denver, basically. And you know what? I mean, Hackett did not do a good coaching job as a head coach last year. We all know that. He is a top-notch assistant coach. And basically, he's kind of a poster boy, Doug, for Peter Principle, as far as I'm concerned, because when he got up to that head coaching spot, he struggled. However, most of his losses were pretty darn close. Stupid call or stupid play call here or there cost him, or mistake by Russell Wilson. And frankly speaking, his defense was much better than Sean Payton's defense thus far. So your thoughts on this one? I mean, Payton's Broncos have allowed 41 points per game in the last 4 games. And even when you take out that 70 nugget, that they allowed Miami, you're still talking about in those other 3 of those last 4, they've given up 31 points per game.
Yeah, I mean, this team, 1-4, bad. They just don't look good. They don't look prepared. Clearly, Russell Wilson's best years are behind him. Not to say he can't still do well, but one of the things that looking at him and looking at this team in general, and this I thought of it in watching the game on Sunday, is I remember Tom Brady and Drew Brees kind of at separate points later in their career. The thing that they said that they had to do was they had to really work on the fundamentals of the sport, because they knew they had slowed down, so they had to really focus on that. And when you watch some of the silly mistakes that Russell Wilson makes, you wonder if he's doing that. I'm not saying he's not doing it at all. I just wonder if he's doing it as thoroughly as he should be for a person of his stature. Now, in this one, Kansas City comes into this game. They've won 4 in a row since their Detroit loss, more relying on defense than offense. And let's face it, you take away Travis Kelce, the receiving core, not great. And one of the things that, looking at Mahomes, he is on track to have a career low in yards per passing attempt. So with Kelce a little bit banged up here, you wonder a little bit if he's going to be a full go on a short week. Scott, this looks like an easy play on Kansas City, even at 10.5, because Denver, with all their problems, offense, defense, turnovers. But you know what? If Denver can't get up for a division game against Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champions, I don't know when they're going to. So what I thought about here is Denver's been lousy in the second half. So right now, as we're doing this video, they're catching +7 on the first half line. And teams that have failed to cover 4 of their last 5 games playing on a Thursday, they're 11-3 against the first half line. I'll take Denver +7, Scott.
Sounds good. I'm going to go with the total here. The thing about Kansas City, as you mentioned, Travis Kelce banged up, not practicing, which is what we heard from Andy Reid, is that he probably wouldn't practice, and then we'll make a decision on game day. So we'll see if he plays, but he's probably not going to be 100%, even if he does play with that ankle. If it's a high ankle sprain, which I haven't heard if they've announced yet, but if it's a high ankle sprain, it's probably not going to play Thursday night. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But it's funny. I mean, what's Denver lost now? Like 15 in a row to Kansas City or something crazy like that. The one thing you can do, Denver owns the worst run defense in the entire NFL as far as not total, but rushing yards allowed per game are concerned. And Casey can run the football. If Kelsey's a little bit banged up or if he doesn't play, the wide receivers have not exactly looked Kansas City, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes era like, that's for sure. Drop passes, not getting open. I think Kansas City, who can run the football, will run the football, which keeps that clock moving. I like under 47.5 in this game on Thursday night. And I might be involved with a premium play on Thursday night, but you'll be able to check that out on Thursday when you watch my free video on Thursday, which will be posted Wednesday night, Thursday morning. As far as West Virginia taking on Houston, this game in Houston, and West Virginia laying a field goal there, the total around 51.5. And Doug, West Virginia has been kind of flying under the radar so far this season, in that they lost that first game and they've won 4 in a row. That loss to the Penn State Nittany Lions sure doesn't look all that bad right now, does it? I mean, Penn State's one of the top 5 teams in college football, is going to have a chance, down the road to prove it. I think they got Michigan like on November 11th or something. But the bottom line is that, they're flying under the radar. They do run well. They're not quite 2-to-1 ratio in rushing yards to what they allow, but they're close. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Neil Brown, who is the coach. I mean, this year, back in August, or probably even a little bit into July, if you looked up at any sports book, first coach to be fired, he was in the top 5, okay, across the board. So, so here he is. His team's now 4-1. Their defense has been very good. I mean, that's really been the key to their success. And particularly teams, it's not like elite level defense, but when the opposing team gets like to their 40, they really have stiffened up. The other thing that they've done really well is that they're averaging 44 rushing attempts per game. So that comes into play for their 194 yards rushing, 4.4 yards per carry. So, and they seem to be very comfortable now in playing in low scoring close games. And that's a skill, to learn a way to do that. Houston is below average across the board. I mean, this team 81st in scoring, giving up giving up 27 points per game, 99th, in terms of points allowed. So they're just struggling across the board. But here's the thing, is that I'm not a Dana Holgorsen fan at all. In fact, I think he's probably one of the most overrated coaches there is. But was West Virginia really worth -3 here? Houston's got more team speed overall. And yes, they might be poorly coached, but they got a top 30 passing attack. And at home as an equalizer, and that can be a big factor. The other thing here, the Mountaineers have covered, Scott, 4 in a row. And teams that are favored from +3 to -3 that have covered 4 in a row are just 10 and 33 against the spread since 2019. I'm going to take the points with the Houston Cougars and hope that Dana doesn't blow it for me.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Exactly.
33. Listen, I'm going to go with the total again here. I like the under because I think Houston's going to want to pass the football, obviously, but West Virginia can run and run and run over 200 yards per game. It's what they do best. They don't allow a lot on the ground, so Houston will probably have to go up top. But I think the game will be kind of, and it's dropped a little bit already, but I still think as long as it's over 50, I like it to stay under the total. So I'm going to go with the under here. I think West Virginia kind of is able to, I guess, give less opportunities, less time of possession to Houston because I think they'll be able to run the football here. But I think it stays under that 51.5, which is where it's at since as we shoot this video. So anyway, Doug says take those points with the Houston Cougars, and I'll say take the under 51.5. And again, I wanted to mention about the Us Against the Spread show, everybody. We'll be talking about 8 to 10 college football games, including Oregon, Washington, including USC Notre Dame. That show will be available on Thursday evening, the college football show, and then we'll come right back on Friday night, and we'll have our NFL show covering all the Sunday and Monday night football games. So be sure to check it out if you want to jump on board or give it a try. And, of course, check our home pages each and every day. Baseball, WNBA. I mean, it's all there, not just football. And now we have the NHL. Oh, by the way, where we are here. Yeah, I can do this. We have the NHL starting on Tuesday night as we cut this video just a couple of hours before the game kicks off. There we go. Faces off with the Vegas Golden Knights. And anyway, so check it out each and every day of the week. Check out Us Against the Spread. DocSports.com. For Doug Upstone, I'm Scott Spreitzer. We are Us Against the Spread, brought to you by DocSports.com. You know what to do, everybody. Let's put them in the win column.